Have you ever wondered why cruise ships don't have a 13th floor? This omission is rooted in superstition and history. The belief that the number 13 is unlucky, also known as triscaticophobia. It dates back to ancient times. This superstition has led to the omission of the 13th floor in many buildings, including cruise ships. The cruise lines have adopted this superstition in order to avoid any potential negative impact on the cruise experience for guests who may have a fear of the number 13. Additionally, omitting the 13th floor also helps to avoid confusion and potential delays in emergency situations. So next time you're on a cruise ship, take note that the highest floor number is typically 12. The unlucky number 13, a superstition rooted in mythology and culture. The belief that the number 13 is unlucky is rooted in many cultures and religions. In Norse mythology, the gods were invited to a banquet in Valhalla, but the 13th god, Loki, was not invited. However, he attended the banquet anyway and caused chaos, leading to the death of one of the gods. This event is said to have brought bad luck. The association of the number 13 with bad luck comes from this mythology. In many cultures, the number 13 is considered unlucky because it's associated with death and destruction. For example, in Christianity, there were 13 people at the Last Supper, and one of them, Judas, betrayed Jesus. This event is also said to have brought bad luck. Many buildings and hotels don't have a 13th floor, and some people won't sit at a table with 13 people. The fear of the number 13 is also known as triscaticophobia. Despite the association of the number 13 with bad luck, it's important to remember that it is just a superstition and shouldn't be taken too seriously. 13 people were present at the Last Supper. During the Last Supper with Jesus Christ, 13 individuals were present, including Christ and the 12 apostles. Some individuals consider this unlucky because one of those 13, Judas Iscariot, betrayed Jesus. The association of the number 13 with bad luck, specifically in relation to the Last Supper, can be traced back to the 1890s, with various religious language sources linking it to the presence of Judas as the 13th person to sit at the table. Knights Templar. On Friday, October 13, 1307, King Philip IV of France issued orders for the arrest of the Knights Templar, resulting in the torture and execution of the majority of the knights. Full moons. When a year had 13 full moons instead of the typical 12, it caused difficulties for the monks responsible for creating calendars. This was viewed as a negative event, particularly for the monks in charge of the 13-month calendar for that year. It disrupted the usual schedule of religious holidays. As a result, the number 13 became associated with bad luck. However, it's not uncommon for a century to have 37 years with 13 full moons and 63 years with 12 full moons. It typically happens every 3 or 4 years that a year has 13 full moons. A repressed lunar cult. In ancient cultures, the number 13 symbolized femininity due to its association with the number of lunar cycles in a year, which is 13 times 28 or 364 days. It's believed that as the solar calendar became more widely accepted and the lunar calendar less so, the number 13 came to be viewed negatively. Hammurabi's Code. There is a myth that the earliest reference to 13 being considered unlucky or evil can be found in the Babylonian Code of Hammurabi, which dates back to around 1780 BC, and in which it said that the 13th law was omitted. However, this isn't true. The original Code of Hammurabi doesn't have numbered laws, and the translation by L.W. King in 1910, edited by Richard Hooker, omitted one article, which states, "If the seller has gone to his fate, that is, if he died, the purchaser shall recover damages in said case fivefold from the estate of the seller." Other translations of the Code of Hammurabi, such as the translation by Robert Francis Harper, included this 13th article. Where is Deck 13 on a cruise ship? While many cruise ships do not have a 13th deck for cabin accommodations, some ships do feature a Deck 13 for other purposes. For example, cruise lines like Royal Caribbean have Deck 13 designated for sports courts on ships like the Voyager and Freedom of the Seas. This allows smaller ships to utilize Deck 13 without renaming it entirely. However, on larger ships, Deck 13 is typically located within the cabin space, making it unsuitable for other purposes. Which cruise lines miss Deck 13? Not all cruise ships within a cruise line fleet omit the 13th deck. For example, Royal Caribbean has Deck 13 on some ships, but not on others, depending on the intended use of the deck. While Oasis-class ships don't have a Deck 13, Quantum-class ships do. Similarly, other cruise lines like Cunard and MSC have some ships that feature a Deck 13. The inclusion of the 13th deck is not universal across all ships in a cruise line. It often depends on the intended use of the deck. If it's for cabins, the deck may be omitted, but if it's for other purposes, the deck is included. The impact of superstition. It's important to note that the avoidance of the number 13 as a superstition isn't just limited to cruise ships, but it's also found in other types of structures, such as hotels, apartments, and skyscrapers. Many buildings and hotels don't have a 13th floor, and some people will not sit at a table with 13 people. The fear of the number 13 is known as triscaticophobia. Despite the belief that the number 13 brings bad luck, it's important to remember that it's just a superstition and shouldn't be taken seriously. When you're on a cruise and notice that the 13th floor isn't present, you'll now understand the reason why. However, you don't need to worry. The ship is safe and secure, so you don't have to be concerned about any bad luck while on board. So, there you have it. If you enjoyed today's content, make sure to like, subscribe, and click the notification bell so you don't miss any of our new videos. Until next time.